It's another story time today, and it's about Bardock, the father of Goku. This is an important one, so I said I had to, talk about it today. So Bardock was a Saiyan from planet Vegeta. He calls to, King Vegeta, Frieza, because at that time, um, Frieza had taken over planet Vegeta. Um, the Saiyans were conquering worlds themselves. But then Frieza, proved to be a little bit, more powerful, or a lot more powerful than the Saiyans could hold up against. So they basically became a part of the Frieza Force, you know, and under his umbrella, his rulership, um, they went to a planet. Bardock and his brigade or whatever, went to this planet, and these people, they were said to, annihilate these people, you know, destroy them. The Saiyans were useful to Frieza. Um, Frieza knew about an ancient legend called the legendary Super Saiyan, and having the Saiyans on his side was a good thing. However, he also knew that if the Saiyans could, team up together, they could, overcome Frieza. Even without, the power of, you know, so he had to, brainwash them, subjugate them, whatever, get them on, to do his bidding and other things, control them through fear. Um, but through rage, they could actually, overpower Frieza. So, so Bardock is on that planet with his group of people. There's a fat guy that kind of looks like Nappa. There's, a girl, not his wife, Gine. Gine's still on planet Vegeta, looking after Kakarot, who's inside of a, capsule, you know, or inside of an incubation tank. That's Goku, you know. Raditz was on another planet, conquering planets because, they send the Saiyans out young to, catch, and conquer and destroy other worlds. But Bardock was out on his mission to, destroy these people. He destroyed these people, with his, group of individuals, and pretty easily. However, this person from that planet, I don't know what type of being this was, but they possessed the power to show them a future, the future. And he did. He showed Bardock the future. Bardock was like, okay, well, I don't believe this. I think you're playing games. It's just a mirage. It's just some fucking games being played. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I refuse to believe that because he saw Planet Vegeta, going up in flames. Um, However, the guy was like, this happened to my people and it'll soon happen to your people too. And he was like, no, 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 that could never happen. Not to the Saiyans. We don't fall like that. We, conquer other worlds. This can't happen. Um, but, as he, kept, living life, going through the days, right? Bardock was like, okay, well, damn. I keep thinking about this. So it is like a premonition. That person wasn't wrong. You know, that alien, it wasn't wrong. Frieza is actually going to destroy us. And then he started, running around saying, we should get off this planet. We should get the fuck off this planet now. There's no time. Frieza's already planning to get rid of us. And these other Saiyans were like, no, there's no way. They have us going to these planets. They have the Prince, Prince Vegeta's on another world right now doing shit for Frieza. There's no way they would destroy the planet, you know, or early Frieza would do that shit to, and they're like, he was like, no, you have to believe me. We have to get the fuck out of here now, and nobody would listen to him. But in the last ditch effort, he told his wife Gine, get Goku out of here. he needs to live on and shit. If the planet gets destroyed, then Kakarot will survive, at least, and keep our, Saiyan heritage alive. You know, the boy like got sent, and then um, Bardock went out there, to fight Frieza Force by himself because he knew it was coming, but everybody else didn't listen to him. So he went up there to fight, against Frieza Force, and that's shown in the first episodes of Dragon Ball Z. It's that scene. The guy that looks like Goku, that's Bardock with the scar on his cheek, and he's fucking with the guys in the Frieza Force. The fucking grunts. That ain't Saiyans, and he's like, he's like, Frieza, your time is to die is now, and he threw the attack at him, thinking that he could destroy Frieza. Unfortunately, he didn't know how powerful Frieza was, and Frieza pulled out a supernova, a miniature sun, and threw it at planet Vegeta. And after that, the planet was destroyed. But before Bardock died, or really, I'll tell you what really happened to Bardock. Yeah. Hold on, I'll tell you what really happened to Bardock. But Bardock, got hit by the supernova attack, and the whole planet was destroyed. But he also caught a glimpse into the future. He saw Goku standing on business against Frieza, and he was like, he died with a smile on his face, or did he die? You know, he was just his last words in that timeline was Kakarot, his son. Then he woke up in another timeline. He was on another planet. You know, he had went back in time, is what actually happened to Bardock. For some reason, probably due to meeting that one creature that was shown in the future before that planet was destroyed, and then having that in his mind. That's what I'm guessing. He was able to go back in time, but way back in time. And Frieza's ancestor, King Child, was running around on a planet, trying to conquer it, do what Frieza does. Frieza gets it from somewhere, it's in his blood. Um, and, Bardock is like, I won't let this shit happen to these people like it happened to my people. I'll protect these people. I'll give my life if I have to, to fight this enemy that looks like Frieza. And it was, King Child. And actually, during this fight, he unlocked Super Saiyan. Bardock unlocked Super Saiyan. And, I have him in the Super Saiyan ranking video. Um, he ain't high on the list, but he was able to defeat King Child. That was Frieza's ancestor. And that's how the rumors of the legendary Super Saiyan passed on through the ages. King Child was like, tell my descendants that the Super Saiyan is something to, you have to look out for. These animals are not to be, fucked with. They're dangerous. And then the legendary Super Saiyan actually came from Bardock. He was the reason why that was a legend and other things. And then later on, Frieza saw Goku, and Goku, showed the form too. You know, they were just, Goku's, bloodline is just built different. Not royal, but, true Saiyans and shit. Able to, like, fuck shit up. But that's the story of Bardock in a nutshell. You might have been expecting more, but that's just how it is. Bardock was never resurrected or, come back through, means of the Dragon Balls. Nah. I know there's some things about him in the Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super manga too. I could add that to, this video, but I didn't, because I don't read that. But that is the story of Bardock, as told by Darius the Green Angel. Stay cool, crawl in the corner.